Tell you what, friends, I have the best job in showbiz because I get to hang out with my girls here each and every week, and they're really, really smart and they really know their stuff when it comes to real estate. So I just sit back and I let the information and the education wash over me. I'm a better person because of it. Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty, thank you so much for being with us once again.
Thank you, Jason.
And please stop blushing. Make it hard to do this segment. Hey, Gina. Okay.
I can't help it.
But I truly appreciate what you guys have done, and I was hoping that we could cover one particular topic because you hear it all the time, especially on Guam real estate, encroachment. Now, I'm a sports guy, so I only know that as the football term when one of the linemen actually bleeds over onto the other side illegally.
And
does that have the same bearing?
Yeah, pretty much.
But you
pretty much what it is.
Again, you always hear this. It's like, oh, my neighbor, his mango tree's in my way. The fence is technically on my property, and now you've got a dispute.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. We come across that all the time.
Okay.
I mean, like every month we have an encroachment issue.
Even with, because you even say like surveyors and architects, they're very, very meticulous, and they're incredibly detail-oriented when it comes to making sure that where one person's property begins and another person's property ends. How does this happen?
It's true, they are meticulous, but here's what, in the course of you owning real estate and things that you do to your property, I find a lot of people will build on their property without first marking the boundary points because they feel they already know where it is. Like, I remember my dad, we were doing an outside kitchen and he went to the back and he's like, it's over there, see that coconut tree? And it's over there. And I was like, and I told him, I said, Dad, you remember the coconut tree that you planted years ago? It had blown down and you replanted this.
Right.
But he swore he put it in the right spot. And I think, I think that's what happens. You buy or you buy a piece of property, the points are there, and you get ready to build and you remember where the points were and you start your construction, or you add on to the house with that mindset of I know where it is. And it's not always the case.
And therein lies the problem.
Yes.
So, Liz, in the case where a discrepancy does arise, how do you resolve that? Because, again, I just use that example of, oh, my mango tree is technically in my neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
But you hear that all the time.
Well, what we recommend for consumers is you've got to call a surveyor to at least mark your points. You need to know where they are, whether you're going to sell or whether you're going to build. Anyway, in any purchase agreements, marking the points is critical. A buyer will not buy a piece of property unless they know where their points are. Point in fact, we've got transaction where we've got a property pending. So what they want to do is know where their points are. Well, the points are marked and we request for an as-built. So the as-built will show this is where your boundary point. There's an existing structure, how many feet it is away from the boundary points. And if there's the next door neighbor's fence is encroaching, like it overlaps beyond their boundary point and it sits on your property, that's an encroachment. And so if someone's buying it, you have to cure it. You have to either demolish it, or there's got to be different solutions to getting rid of that wall that is actually sitting on your boundary point.
How about
and in this case, the issue is, if I'm buying that piece of property that she's selling, I cannot just go and demolish that fence because it belongs to someone else. And that's, what that word encroachment means. In this case, it's someone else's fence is into the property that we're trying to sell. And we can't just go over there and demolish it. And then who's going to pay for the cost of demolishing it?
Right.
And you can't just touch someone's fence without their permission.
Now, is it fair
it
to
complicates things.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that this type of thing typically happens because of homeowner negligence, or that they just didn't know?
Like what
Yes.
Gina was saying, they just counted on memory that this tree was there and therefore my points are still there. It's not necessarily the case.
And you know what they say about when you assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you
And that's
always
when it happens.
Yeah, you always have to get your surveyor to mark it, so at least you know. And over the years, it's changed.
Now, what about situations where Mother Nature actually takes over? Like maybe if there was an earthquake and the tectonic plate shifted or something like that, and the physical structure of the land has been modified.
We don't run into that often. I mean, you're talking about, like, the only example of that was in Nimitz Estates where actually it was a tropical storm that caused erosion so badly that it buried 5 of those houses on San Hilo Street. And that really changed the layout of the land in that area. But we don't run, and that's not what we mean by encroachment.
Okay.
I mean, that's typically not what we deal with. But, you know, encroachment is when you're into someone's property, or let's say I own the property. So encroachment could be within your own property, you're encroaching on something, which is what the other thing that really comes into what we deal with is I have a home, and my home, let's say it's a 1/4 acre lot, a standard house lot. They always refer to it as a standard house lot. But the law is very specific. The law says on your house lot, you have to be so many feet away from your front boundary, your back boundary, and your side boundary. And the encroachment we come across is I decide I want to add in an extra garage or an extra room, or I want this really big outdoor kitchen or something. And I build into, they called them setbacks. I build into the setbacks. I'm now encroaching. I'm using my own property. It's within my lot, but I'm encroaching on the setbacks, and that's not allowed either.
Okay, really quick before we end the show. Is it possible to make a neighbor's agreement to resolve like the situation and just say, okay, things have changed. Can we modify like our people?
We do it all the time.
Okay.
We do it all the time. We look at the cost. How much is it going to cost to take down a wall or remove a fence? Or yeah, we look at that all the time.
Or
and we come up with
sometimes,
solutions.
if the neighbor's lot is rather large, we've had cases where if my fence is on their lot, we would buy that sliver of property, but both parties have to agree, and it involves another story.
Just for that tiny little strip?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that involves reconsolidating and re-subdividing, which is another topic
Can we talk about
altogether.
that next time? Because
Yes.
this sounds like a fascinating side story. Okay, so we will get to that in a future episode, but as for now, we're going to let you go. Enjoy the information. Thank you, ladies, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E. Explore your world. This primetime lineup is brought to you by IT&E. Explore your world.